Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending the AWS Webinar Series of Analyze Mobile App Data and Build Predictive Applications. My name is Sandeep Atluri, and I'll be your lead presenter today. I work with AWS Mobile as a data scientist. I work with customers like you and build data science products which will help you leverage full potential in your data. Let's get the presentation started. So let's start with a beautiful quotation from one of the greatest physicists in the 18th century, Mr. Lord Kelvin, which says, "If you can't measure it, you can't improve it." This quotation, although said 200 years ago, which is so relevant even today because of customer behavior changing constantly, newer technologies emerging. So organizations of any shape and size have to constantly measure how customers are interacting with their products, how customers are receiving their services. So organizations have to be in a constant cycle of measuring what customers are doing in the product, then learning from it. And once they've learned, they implement their product decisions, and again they need to measure how the decisions they've made are actually turning in. So it's a constant cycle organizations have to be in. So this is a great quotation which is even very relevant today. So moving on, our customers have told us they've used data in 3 different ways or in 3 different stages to drive their decision making. So the first and the fundamental stage is what we call as retrospective reporting, where customers or organizations are trying to answer one fundamental key question, which is what's really happening in the business. So here, organizations are trying to analyze historical trends in the data from the last 1 day or 1 week or 1 month or 1 year, whatever the time frame is. But what they're really trying to do is analyze the data to get a macroscopic view of what's really happening in the business and what are some key trends that are happening. And once they know this information, they correlate this information with the decisions that they have taken and see if those decisions or those product features are really working or not. Once they have set up a good base, then they move on to the next stage, is what we call as an inquisitive phase. Here, customers or organizations, what they're really doing is they're diving deep into their data to find those hidden user patterns or hidden user behavior, which was not evident from the retrospective stage. Here, they're trying to again answer one key question: is what happened in the business and why did it really happen, or who is really driving those behaviors. So here they're really diving deep into the data and trying to find out those patterns which were not really evident. Now once the organizations have again a good understanding of their users, good understanding of their business, and have learned a lot of key insights, they move on to the next stage, which is a very key stage of predicting what users will do. And once they've predicted what their users will do the organizations will start to use this information to enhance user experience. So this is a stage where really you could start to differentiate yourself from the rest and enhance the user experience. So one of the very common and a very well-known example, if you take, is Netflix, which is again an AWS customer, uses their viewers' patterns and watching history to recommend good shows or recommend movies which their customers would really like to watch. So by predicting this customer behavior, they're solving a great content discovery problem, and then they're enhancing their user experience. So each of these 3 stages we've just discussed have great value to it. Moving on. Now, all of us are here today because all of us are really interested in mobile app. All of you might have published an app already or in the process of publishing an app. So what are the three stages we've discussed till now? Like, what do they really mean in a context of a mobile app or a mobile app development, right? So you've launched your app on iOS, Android, or Fire OS, and now that you have launched, so what is the fundamental question that you would be asking yourself? So the first and foremost question is like, how many users are using the app, and like how often do they use, or how much are the how much money are the users paying in the app, or how much time do they spend? So these are some of the fundamental questions that you would want to track on a day-to-day basis, because this will give you a good insight into how your app is being used. Now, once you've have a good understanding of your users in these dimensions, now what you're really looking for is those key behaviors in the app. Like, what do I mean by key behaviors again? Key behaviors means like, are customers using particular feature, or customers are customers opening the app really frequently, or how are customers really interacting with your app, and so those key behaviors which were not evident from the previous stage, you could get those by really diving deep into the data at this stage. Now again, once you have learned all of this key information of your users, now how do you use this behavior to predict what's happening in the app? And once you've predicted, how do you really use it to enhance their experience? So these are the three stages. If you could translate or these are the three stages in the context of a mobile app, how data-driven decision making can really influence your product decisions, or marketing decisions, or future roadmaps, etc. Moving on. So during the course of the presentation, I will actually dive deep into each of this section, and we'll see how you could leverage data and really influence your product decisions, or marketing roadmap, or product feature roadmap in the app, and how we would help you to solve each one of these stages. So let's just say you've built a music app, right? And you've launched it on iOS or Android or on Fire OS, or any combination of these three. Now, once you've submitted this app to the respective app stores, what are some of the questions that you would ask yourself, or you would ask your team to understand what's really happening in the app? Because the information that you get from the app stores is very basic. You just get installs and how much money they're spending, but that's really not a good indicator of how your app is doing. So here are some of the few questions that really will help you to understand the trends in the app. So since we are just talking about as an example of a music app, the questions you might see on the screen are pertain to that particular app, but these questions are true for any app, or on any genre, or even for games. These questions apply. So let's go through some of the questions and see how they actually will help you to understand the trends in the app. So the first question is like, how many users use your app to listen to music daily, right? Or how many users have been acquired to the app recently in the last 1 day or 1 week, or how many times users open the app daily. So all of these questions will actually give you insight into how users are engaging with your app. And once you have a good sense of how users are engaging, now you want to really track how your users are doing on the monetization front. So you would start asking yourself, like, how many users are paying in the app, or how much does an average paying user pay? And so this will give you a good sense into your monetization strategy, if it's working or not, or do you need to make any changes. So the next one is actually probably the most important one. Customers have told us that they really love to track is retention, because the user acquisition costs have gone so high, where customers are spending $1, $2, or $3 to acquire customers, and if the user doesn't stay in the app for long enough, the costs really don't justify themselves. So developers are really interested in tracking how many people actually return to the app once they've installed in the first 1 day, 3 days, or 7 days, depending upon the business requirement. And lastly, but not the least, this is probably one of my favorite area as well, because tracking behavioral insights will give you a lot of information into if users are using your app in the way you intend them to use, right? For example, in the screen, you could see how many users shared or liked a particular artist, or so this will actually give an insight into if people are using the share feature in the app, or if we take a games analogy, you could say how many people are actually crossing a particular level, or how many people are using a particular sword, or using an avatar. So all of these behavioral questions will help you understand if users are really using your app in the way you intend them to, and based on the results, you could start changing your roadmap or product decisions. So I think there's a slight problem on the screen where you cannot see all the graphs that are there. Sorry, we are back on. Sorry, again, I apologize for the delay. So we were talking about, how each of these questions would actually help you gauge your users and understand their key behaviors, and at a macro level, understand what's really happening in the app. So on your screen, if you could see, there's two graphs which are showing the number of apps opens and the time spent here, and there was a push notification marketing campaign that has happened on one of the days, which clearly increased the number of app opens, but it did not really increase the time spent in the app. So looking at this, you would think the campaign was a success, but maybe if your end goal was actually increasing the time spent of the users, it did not really succeed in doing it. So when you probably do it the next time, you could have insight into this. Similarly, if you go to the monetization tracking, you could here see that you did a promotion in the app store, where in your in-app store, where you provided a lot of discounts on the in-app items, and you could see it actually increased the revenue. It not only increased the revenue, but what it did is actually increase the number of paying users, which is always great, because having a healthy distribution of paying users is really good for the app. Now, the next one is retention, probably, because if you see on the graphs here, or if you see on the graphs on the screen, the developer introduced a new demo video, and he changed the first time experience for each user, and it actually increased the retention by a great deal, both day one retention, which means customers who have installed the app and have returned the next day, and a week one retention. So it's a good sign that changing the first time experience has actually increased the retention by a great deal. So, and you could by tracking these kind of metrics, you could actually right away tell that your product decision or the new feature you've launched has really worked. And finally, if you see the behavioral tracking, in this case, the developer promoted a particular track in the gallery or in the front page just to test how powerful that medium is. And you could see that the number of purchases of the music track increased really, but it not only increased for that particular music track, it also increased the number of likes and shares for the artist, which is a great thing. So there's a viral behavior that's that he caused because of tracking this because of promoting this particular track to the gallery. So we have seen till now that tracking this information has great value in both product decisions and in marketing decisions. Because it'll help you validate if you're on the right track, and if the decisions you have taken are really working. So there is a lot of value in tracking this. But so is there an easy way to collect and visualize the app data, right? So customers have told us, collecting the app data at scale, aggregating the results and constantly displaying these results to their marketing folks or product management folks or the developers involves a lot of complexity in addition to the costs that are involved. So when the app scales, there are millions of users who are using your app. The events scale up to billion events per month or so. Billion events per month. You have to scale all this infrastructure. So there's a lot of complexity that's involved in building this infrastructure. So here I want to introduce Amazon Mobile Analytics, which is a great service that we've launched last year to help mobile developers like you, mobile customers like you, to very easily collect all the app event data that your app generates and help you to visualize all the data, generate out of the box metrics like key business metrics that you really care about. And also you could export all your app usage data so that you could do your custom analysis and you could really use your data in the way you want to. So we built the service ground up on three principles. The first one being, we want you to get your data really fast. We don't want you to wait for days or hours, in fact, to view your usage metrics, how your users are performing. So we actually process all the data within less than 60 minutes of receiving the event from your app. Second one is, we privacy is our primary tenet. We keep your data really safe with us, and we actually don't share this data with any third party. We don't aggregate it and use it for any advertising purposes or anything else. We just, you own your data, and you are the one who will get the full potential out of your data. The third one is probably the most important one, that we provide really, really accurate results because we don't sample any data. We provide all the business metrics based on complete data. We process each event, even if it's few events or million or billion events. We process every single event to provide you really, really accurate results. So that's a great value proposition for customers who have been using our product and are really happy with this. The other and very key important value proposition we give to the customers is the cost. So using mobile analytics, Amazon Mobile Analytics, we have a great free tier, which is we process 100 million events per month for free. And then even after you cross this very, very big, generous free tier, we just charge you $1 per million events a month. So it's a very cost-effective solution. Our customers are really happy using us, and integrating Amazon Mobile Analytics is a very, very, very easy process where there's just few steps involved. If you go to our documentation pages, there's great documentation that's there, and there's a great product demo in case you're interested. So once you've integrated our product, what do you get out of the box, right? So we give you a 9 pre-selected metrics that are really, really important for your app in a single view. So this is a great view if you're a developer or a product manager or a marketing analyst or a data scientist, for you to log in and see, get a quick snapshot of what is really happening in the app, right? You could get so these 9 pre-selected metrics are based on our customers' feedback on what they're really interested in tracking. And if you could see some of these metrics, you might already been used to, or you're even tracking right now using different sources, but you get a very good a quick overview every time you log into our console. Along with this, so you're not restricted to that single view, but what we give you is another detailed view of each of the metric that we've just talked about. For example, if you could see on the screen right now, you're seeing a view of how retention is changing across time. So we have different metrics like day 1 retention, day 3 retention, day 7 retention, and you're overlaying that information against new users. So these kind of you get a very detailed view of each business metric that you really care to track about on day-to-day basis. And also, one of the key features that our customers really love about us is that you could track unique behavior, or you could track custom events right from the console itself. You don't need to write any additional code, or you don't need to write SQL queries to understand these custom events. So if you could see on the screen here, we are seeing an example where developer is tracking a particular weapon or a particular sword in his in his game, and how many times that sword has been purchased, and these kind of information really helps developers see if the feature or if the particular asset is really working and resonating with customers. So it's a great value proposition and customers are really using are using this to take key product decisions again. So till now, what we've seen retrospective analysis or retrospective tracking, where you're really focused on understanding what happened in the app and what's happening in the app. Now, like, you are moving ahead and you want to really understand or dive deep into your data to understand those hidden behaviors, where you want to go to a user level and you want to see if this particular user is doing is opening up really frequently, or if this particular sect of people are not really engaged. So and often these kind of insights are not really evident from the KPIs you'll be tracking. KPIs are great, but they often don't tell you the complete story in the app. So going beyond the standard metrics will give you a lot of context to your user behavior. So let's actually take a step back and just go through a quick few questions that will help you understand your user better, right? So who are your most engaged users, and what are the usage patterns? Do they open their app twice a day or thrice a day or 5 times a week, or or how does the usage pattern vary for different demographic profiles, or how does the user population distribute across countries, and how much time does it take for a user to convert to a paying user? So all of these questions will really help you understand your user behavior a lot more closely, and gives you context into how users are using the app. Now let's take the first question that we've discussed and see how these insights could be really useful to you as a product manager, or as a marketing analyst, or a data scientist, or a data analyst. So here on the screen, you could see a beautiful graph which depicts the number of times the app was opened in the last 7 days on the x-axis, and on the y-axis we have the overall population that has opened in the last 7 days. So here you could see that 29% of the users have really, which is your rightmost bar on the screen, are highly engaged users, where the leftmost part, which represents 23% of your population, is users with low engagement because they've just opened once in the app. So now that you know this information, who the users are really using and how they're actually using your app, you could design strategies to influence their behavior to convert them into highly engaging users, right? And don't worry about how to generate this graph or how complex is it. I'll just get to it in a couple of slides ahead. So again, here's a beautiful piece of information which shows you how your demographic profiles actually interact with your app. So here you could see that maybe your age group of 16 to 20, 16 to 40 is your core user group. The app usage is fairly balanced between male and female, so that's a good sign. But understanding again that this key information will help you deliver relevant context, deliver relevant content to each of the group, so that the users are engaged in the app. Again, this is a beautiful tree chart which tells you how your users are distributed across country, across platforms. So knowing this information will help you formulate new acquisition strategies in countries where the app has really low penetration, or it'll give you insight into how your acquisition strategies are working. Right? This again is a beautiful piece of information which tells you the number of days before a first in-app purchase has been made historically in your app. So in the x-axis, you have the number of days before the first in-app purchase was made, and the y-axis as the population. It's a beautiful normal distribution which gives you insight, saying that most 80 to 85% of the users have spent have paid their first in-app purchase in less than 8 days. So if your user is actually crossed the 8 days and hasn't paid yet, so you could start targeting him with an offer or a discount code or a push targeted messaging, so that he really converts into a paying user. So I guess by now all of you might have realized how useful all of these information is. And again, these are not the only set of questions. These are just a sample we have picked up where you could have a lot of influence on both your product and marketing decisions. So so all the information we have seen till now wasn't available through KPI. So how did we generate? So our customers have asked us that they want to have the flexibility and agility to really dive deep into the data. So we've introduced this very cool new feature called auto export to Amazon Redshift last year. So for those folks who don't know what Amazon Redshift is, so Amazon Redshift is Amazon's AWS's enterprise data warehousing petabyte scale solution. So it's the fastest growing service in AWS. Customers absolutely love using Amazon Redshift because they could run a lot of their SQL queries. It scales really well. So what we do is in Amazon Mobile Analytics, we have a feature called Auto Export, and you could now take all your mobile app data, the raw event data, and dump it into Amazon Redshift using the Auto Export feature. And once it's there in Amazon Redshift, you could really start to use the data in the way that you would like to. You could you could write SQL queries on top of it, or you could connect it to third-party tools like Tableau or MicroStrategy, or you could actually integrate it with any of your existing BI solutions. So exporting your app event data is very simple. If you log onto the console, with few clicks, you could export all of this data into Amazon Redshift. You don't need to write any additional code for this. And we actually do a lot of heavy lifting for you. We provide you a completely denormalized star schema where we collect all of your app events, and we take the commonly collected at events, like the timestamps of when your event has arrived, and what device is it, what platform is it, what particular model is it, what locale is it. And on top of it, you could also specify your custom attributes and custom metrics that you really care to track about, or you really care to do a lot of analysis in. So if you could see on the screen, you could we generate all the custom. You could tag all your custom defined fields, and we export it the custom attributes with prefixed a underscore, and all the custom metrics with prefix m underscore. And once you have this in your Redshift, you could really start using to query. And the other beautiful part, or another very interesting use case we've seen customers use this, is to integrate this particular data model with their existing data model of sales or marketing data or your social media data. You could really join this data with any other data you have regarding your app, or even if you have a portfolio of apps, you could join other apps data as well, and you could really start to correlate information on what's happening in the app versus how your other marketing channels are doing. So you could connect Amazon Redshift with, as you could see on the screen, with any other third-party services like Tableau or MicroStrategy and we actually have seen a lot of interesting use cases where customers have connected it with open source tools such as R or D3, which is my favorite visualization tool. You could use JavaScript to visualize. So there are a lot of interesting use cases that you could do once your data is in Redshift, and you have the ability to really dive deep into your data. So the graphs that we have seen, or the information that we have seen in the previous few slides, was generated using a simple SQL query that you've seen see on the screen right now. This is a very, very simple query, and it's just a one-time effort where you need to write your query, and once you have this query, since your schema is fixed, your query doesn't change, and you just refresh it once in a while when you really want to see what's changing. And it's also very easy to share across users. You could give it to your marketing team, or you could give it to your product management team, and they could actually edit the queries and visualize it, or dive deep into it. So here again, we could see on the screen how we connected Amazon Redshift to Tableau and generated this great visualization. So all in all, it's a great value proposition for customers where they could actually dive deep and visualize using Amazon Redshift. And we have seen great customer adoption till now where for this particular feature. So till now, what we have seen is, you have really understood your user across dimensions. You have understood what your user has been doing and how your app is performing. Now that you have learned all of this information, how do you really use it to anticipate customer behavior, and how do you use it to enhance customer experience, right? Predicting user behavior will help you in personalizing user experience and providing a value add for customers. Now let's actually take a step back again and see what is this predictive application. We often hear terms like machine learning and predictive application in apps. So what do these really mean, and how could, as a mobile developer, you could really take advantage of these? So let's take a very simple example of the music app we have been talking about till now, and say, there's a customer who's been using the app for the last few months, and she hasn't really opened the app in the last 10 days or 15 days. So now, as a developer, you're worried and you want to get her back to the app, right? And so what would you do to bring her back to the app? So the most common strategy, or the most common way to do it, is send her a push notification saying, hey, you haven't listened to your app in a while, so do you want to check them out, right? And it's a great way to interact with customer and bring her back to the app. But there's a key question to this, or there's a key decision that needs to be made before sending it, is what's the best time to send this notification to her, right? If you send it at 10 a.m. in the morning, like, she might be busy at work, and if you send it at like 6 p.m. in the evening, she might be busy doing something else. And we have data suggesting that push notifications have the maximum response rate in the first hour to 2 hours of the notification being sent. So sending push notification at the right time is absolutely critical. So now what's the best time to send her this notification? So how would you as a developer actually try to solve this? All right, so the one way to do it is, you write, since you have your data in Amazon Redshift or any other database, you actually start writing SQL queries where you look at all the timestamps that she has opened in the last so many days. You get a bunch of dates, but then again, while analyzing the data, you realize that, hey, she has a very different pattern on weekdays versus weekends. Now, what do? So you edit your query to, just filter for the results of only for weekends, right? You edit your query, great, you get results again. Now, she has opened on multiple time slots on these days, so there is no real clear pattern. So you are really, now what you want to do is you want to get more data, so you edit the query to go back in time. Now, again, all of this process that you have done is just for one customer. Now you want to do the same process for hundreds, thousands, and millions of customers. So you add all of those customers into the query and you tweak the query again. And again, you go back into the time. As you can see, this is an endless process where you keep tweaking your query again and again till you get those magic numbers right, till you find those patterns in your data. So it's not really a scalable and an efficient way to do it. So a better and a very effective way to do it is to use machine learning technology to learn business rules from your data instead of you manually writing queries and trying to analyze in spreadsheets or in other statistical tools. Using machine learning will actually save you a lot of time, and it's very efficient and very and it's pretty accurate when compared to the manual effort. So let's actually take a step back again and define, or there are a lot of definitions of machine learning that are out there, but this is a very good definition that I really like because it's super simple to understand. uh, so what is machine learning? Machine learning is a technology that automatically finds patterns in your data and uses them to make predictions as they become available. Uh, so in this particular case, in the example of push notifications, we've talked machine learning goes into the data, understands each user's individual behavior, and it takes it predicts for each user what is the most probabilistic time the customer is likely to open. Like for some customers it might be 4 p.m., for some customers it'd be 9 a.m., and it could be for some customers it could be like 2 p.m. So what you're really trying to do is you now personalized the experience for each user, and you could send this notification based on these times. So instead of providing a one fit solution that encompasses all, you've really drilled down to the each user level, understood his preferences, and now you're acting based on his preferences so that he has a great experience using your product. So we have a very, very simple equation that I really like as like your data plus machine learning will actually enable personalization in your app. And having personalization in the app is a key differentiator and provides a lot of value add to the customers. So great. Like we have seen, all of us have probably heard machine learning. It's amazing. It has great value in it. But why aren't there like a lot of machine learning applications today? Why isn't machine learning the new normal, right? Like customers have told us mainly three pain points, if I may say. And the first one being that machine learning expertise is super rare these days. And even if it's available, it's often very expensive to hire data science teams dedicatedly building statistical algorithms. The second biggest reason is building and scaling this technology is super hard. understanding this complicated statistical algorithms that go behind this machine learning technology. And also you have to find the right technology to use. Do you use Python, or do you use R, or do you use Hadoop? So there's a lot of technology related decisions that you need to take. And the last one is, the closing the gap between models and applications is super time consuming and very, very expensive. Building an application is different, but then using it into your product is again a lot of, it's a very time consuming process. So these are some of the key reasons why machine learning isn't the new normal as until now, and why there haven't been like a lot of applications the developers could have easily used to build. But again, what if there is a better way, right? That's why we all of us are here. Let me actually introduce you to Amazon machine learning. So Amazon machine learning is a very new product, and it's one of the latest entrants to the AWS's family. Amazon machine learning is a fully managed machine learning service built for developers of all skill levels to easily build machine learning models. You don't have to really understand all the statistical algorithms that go behind these models, or you don't need to write a lot of additional code. So we've understood all the pain points, and we built this service in order for developers to really quickly iterate and build models. Amazon machine learning is actually based on Amazon's internal system. So it's battle tested. We have been using machine learning for last so many years, where we produce billions of predictions per week. So it's really tested, and it's based on our internal systems. And the other key advantage is you could actually use this service to build models using all your app event data that's already there in the cloud with Amazon Mobile Analytics. So you don't need to create a very difficult architecture. It's super simple. There are great connectors, and like any other AWS service, you could deploy the models to production in seconds. So there's great key value. There's great value propositions to customers who have been using Amazon machine learning, and we have seen great adoption till now. So now, since your customers have already have their data with Amazon Mobile Analytics, now once we have the data with Amazon Mobile Analytics, customers could really leverage Amazon machine learning and their app data in Amazon Mobile Analytics, and they could build great predictive applications really quickly. They don't have to again understand all of the complexities. They don't have to write additional code, and all of these models could be built using great wizards and visualization tools we have built for the developers to make it very intuitive. So we have seen some great use cases where customers have used Amazon Mobile Analytics data to build predictive models based on Amazon machine learning and influence their users, really influence their users. So before going into some of the success stories or some of the use cases, I'll quickly walk you guys through how easy is it to build predictive applications with Amazon machine learning once you have your data with Amazon Mobile Analytics, right? So primarily there are three stages in building any predictive model. The first stage being, training the model. Once you've trained your model, you evaluate and optimize the model, and once you're very comfortable with the model, you retrieve those predictions to use it to design and formulate your strategies, right? Since all your app event data is flowing through Amazon Mobile Analytics, your data will be automatically exported to Amazon Redshift using the auto export feature. And now once your data is available in Redshift, using the wizards that you could see on the screen, developer could just connect their data to Redshift. And once it connected, we have a schema guesser, which guesses your schema if your variables are categorical or binary. And we also You could also specify what your target variable is, what you're really trying to predict. Are you trying to predict customer churn? Are you trying to predict what's the best time? So you could actually specify what you want to predict. And so with a matter of few clicks now, you've already connected all your mobile data to Amazon machine learning. Now, in the second stage, what you're trying to do is you're trying to explore and understand your data, right? You want to see the distributions in your data. Does it have a good normal or a Gaussian distribution, or does it have a very bimodal distribution? Or so you really want to see, like, how are there any missing values, or are there any data issues? So you could again use this wizard to find out all those and correct your data. Now, again, with a matter of few clicks, you could really start to train your model. As you could see on the screen, you could use all the default settings, or in case you really want to tweak your model based on your prior experience with the data, you could also do that. You could do your own transformations. But we've seen customers really easily create models using this wizard. Now, once you've created the models and trained the models, the next step is you explore the model quality. Like, is my model good, or am I doing is model doing any better than pure randomness? So you could actually have great visualizations tools which will help you in judging the quality of the model, and if it's really helping, or if it's really predicting at an accurate level. As you can see on the screen, we actually give out the model's statistics and say if the model is doing any better than the baseline, or it's performing below the baseline, so that if you know this, you could actually go back into the model and tweak it. So till now, we have seen, how easy is it for developers or customers to actually build predictive applications using machine learning. So here is a very simple architecture we have seen our customers leverage in order to build predictive or machine learning applications into their apps. Here, as you can see on the screen, you have your mobile app data, and once you have your mobile app data with Amazon Mobile Analytics, you could use the auto export feature to push it to Amazon Redshift. Now, once it's in Amazon Redshift, you could, again, with the matter of few clicks, you could connect it to Amazon Machine Learning. And once you've connected to Amazon Machine Learning, you get your predictions, and you use those predictions. You take decisions, or you design applications that will really influence your users. So this is a very simple but a very powerful architecture we have seen customers already leverage, and are actually have great success stories regarding or building the predictive applications. Now let's actually look at like a few examples where how you could leverage mobile app data with machine learning. Right, the most common use cases are, you predict customer churn in your app, right? Like, based on the previous usage patterns, you could predict if the customer is going to return to your app in the next few days. And once you know this information, you actually start sending them push notifications to engage or re-engage. Now, another interesting use case is you predict users with super low probability if they will purchase an app or not. And again, once you know this information, you could actually send them a discount coupon via in-app notification, or you could actually send a targeted messaging saying that, hey, why don't you actually come back and into the app and purchase this particular item. And the other interesting use case is, if there's a share or a like button for your app, and you could identify users with high probability who will likely to share your app, and you could reach out to them and saying, hey, why don't you just like us on Facebook or on any other social media that's there. And we have also seen a lot of use cases where customers are actually using machine learning or predictive algorithms to recommend relevant content to users. Let's say you're a news app or a music app or a game, so you could actually take lessons, or you could use machine learning to analyze what people are liking, and you could recommend relevant content to your users. So by that, you're actually solving a great content discovery problem, and you're trying to keep your users engaged throughout the app. So again, these are not the only use cases we have seen. We have seen way too many use cases to just list it down here, but customers of from every genre of be it a game, be it an app, be it a weather app, or be it a news app, or be it a music app. So customers are really using their data to make predictive based applications, which in turn is actually helping them to influence or customize or personalize experience for each user. And as you have seen through the course of presentation, building machine learning models is not as hard as it used to be. Now with this with the two products we have, Amazon Mobile Analytics and Amazon Machine Learning, you could really quickly iterate. Even within few hours, you could have your first predictive application ready. I guess we're reaching to the end of the presentation. I really hope I've inspired you to. I really hope I've inspired you to build, connect our product, connect Amazon Mobile Analytics to your app today. It's super easy. There's hardly 3 steps you need to do in order to integrate, and you could find great documentation on our website, or we're actually very happy to help you to get you started. You could see an email address on your screen, which is amazon-mobile-analytics@amazon.com. Just email us with any kind of questions you have, be it product related, be it pricing related, or be it how do you scale, how does the infrastructure work. So you could have any questions, or you could also ask us about how to do auto export to Redshift, or how to leverage Amazon machine learning. So we'll be glad to help you with any of the questions that you might be having.